Alright, I have lived another day. Here I am again. Surprise, surprise. Alright, it's kind of a generic kind of video, I think. Just on this idea of communication, persuasion, argument, discussion, the nature of belief systems, excuse me, dead skin, how we acquire our sensibilities, our disposition, our tastes, whether those are essentially our philosophy in some respects, what's driving it, our intelligence, our perception. Yeah, it's all kind of, it's kind of ambiguous, kind of hard to nail it down and say, all right, this I got from my culture, this I got from my father, this I got from Dr. Seuss, this I got from the Flintstones. I mean, you know, to figure out exactly where your whole perception network, you know, got created. Even to things like your taste in women or food. I mean, all this stuff sort of defines, little bits at a time, your overall demeanor or disposition. And you know, when you start dissecting that, it gets to be kind of irritating because you just can find so much asshole. You know, you can find so much complete bullshit, like there's absolutely no good reason for, and that's kind of irritating to realize that a part of who you are and what you are, there's just no good reason for. You know, you could or perhaps should be something entirely different because it would be so much more functional or ethical or practical or productive. So anyway, but enough of that. So I was thinking of different things, you know, when you're growing up and how you start to acquire understanding of the world and how to make the world work for you or just how to make it work. And I was definitely riding two trains or whatever, however you want to describe it, when I was a kid. Because part of me was the most selfish little bastard on earth, and you know, just trying to win something, a little desperate to win. And the other part of me was kind of very distracted by this idea that everything came at a price. I was really getting to, I mean, I picked up on that pretty quickly, and I was always wondering, well, that seems kind of stupid, you know, that's kind of sloppy, and just the whole fallibility of everything. So I became very mistrustful very early of the doctrine. I never believed, you know, they dragged me off to church, but never believed it for a minute, because I already didn't believe my parents. I already suspected they're gaming me because they told me so many other lies. Just little ones, but they were all over the place. You know, don't do this, don't do that, because this, and it was always bullshit. They didn't want me to touch it because they knew I was going to break it. Instead of just saying you're going to break it, they'd make up some other kind of bullshit story. But anyway, that's not the point. But it was just this idea that, yeah, nothing comes right, or that the world was always off. And like one little thing that sticks out in my head is my first bicycle. I was about 5 years old, and my father bought a bunch of used bicycles. And so the only one that was for a boy, you know, had the bar on it that signified maleness, was just preposterously too huge. I mean, I couldn't pedal all the way down. I couldn't reach the pedal. You know, once it went halfway, I couldn't reach it anymore. So all I could do was, you know, I had to have momentum, and I had to keep pumping the pedals from the top and only have a quarter stroke kind of thing. And I couldn't turn the fucking thing. It was impossible to turn in the street. So I crashed every time. I'd get on the thing, you know, on a hill, because I couldn't even get on it. And I just get momentum, and I go down the street straight, and I crash. At the end of the street, I had to turn, and I just ended up going right up the curb and into there was a good hill and tree I could crash into, so I sort of got the hang of it. And so yeah, that's how I bicycle rode. And it was just the realization that, yeah, this life is just not functional. It's just not perfect. It's not going to come to me properly packaged. So I sort of had that notion in my head very early. And so I was always looking for the catch. You know, you couldn't hand me anything without me wondering, well, what's the catch? You know, but you know, how am I going to have to pay for this? You know, what's going to be the downside? And so I was, I was always into that habit of evaluation. And so, yeah, it seems natural that I would end up where I am now, you know, finding fault, being critical, complaining. Because, yeah, that's to me, that's the natural thing to do. You look at it, you find out how it's broken, you see if there's some way to fix it, but you're still stuck with the fact that it's broken. What the hell? It's not working right. And so, you know, it's I guess it's just I'm objecting to the idea that we should all pretend and not notice that it's not working right. I guess that's the joke here, is that everybody seemed to just pretend it's okay. Well, the dog has 3 legs. Well, that doesn't seem right to me. You know, can't we do something about that? I mean, dogs shouldn't have 3 fucking legs. You know, because they get their legs bit off by turtles and shit. But anyway, it was just like, well, what the fuck? Well, why are people accepting this? You know, it just isn't not good enough. It's insufficient. And so I was already stuck with this notion. You know, if you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all, kind of thing. And that sort of ran in my head as a theme. I was kind of anal when I was young. And then I kind of just grew out of it, and I just kind of said, fuck it, who cares? I'll just play along like everybody else, because I got to get laid, and I got things to do, and I really don't have patience for this bullshit anymore. Yeah, and then, yeah, that's just the migration of my thought process. So I never got glued to an ideology. I didn't grow up a sports fan or a fan of anything, addicted to anything. I didn't belong to any social club. I was in the Boy Scouts for a period of time, but with a complete insincere attitude. You know, I didn't like anything about it except for the snacks. I mean, that was all it was really for. And yeah, you got to, like, I remember we made these little balsa wood cars or something, you know, to race, and so that was a little bit interesting because there was some science there, you know, about, you know, friction and weight, and you know, I actually made my car so thin that it, you know, it snapped because I cut the wood, so I whittled it down to reduce the weight, and I whittled it to almost nothing, and so just putting it on the track, I broke the axle. But anyway, that's a whole other story. So yeah, it was a failure. I got through a couple of rounds though before that happened. Yeah, that's right. So it was a fast car. It just wasn't durable. But anyway, that's beside the point. Yeah. So yeah, just getting back. Enough of this. You know, everybody is sort of doing personal stories now. Now that I think about it, Nick was talking about his life, and Fred, his father, was talking about. Well, he didn't really talk about Fred. I guess if the father talked about Fred, he'd just say, yeah, you were just a smelly little punk and I hated your fucking little guts. You were just a money hole. You just steal all my fucking money, stupid little bastard. Yeah, he was nicer than that. But yeah, it just sucks. This is also broken. So even that's a good example though. I mean, Fred came from a broken home, and yet he still found a rationalization, an excuse to give it a shot. Like he was going to be better than that. Like he was going to do better than his dad. As it turns out, okay, yeah, he didn't do the, you know, yeah, I'm pretty sure Fred never punched a woman. But, you know, in the first case, he failed pretty dismally, and he admits it in terms of the marriage. I mean, how can you not assume failure? I guess that's the other part of it. I mean, my default assumption is failure. I mean, every time I try to do something, I see failure first. I don't see success. And so I try to avoid the failure by recognizing that you're likely to fail. And so yeah, I'm going to protect against failure. And other people just seem so comfortable. So, oh yeah, I've never done it before. I'll do just fine. I don't know. Sounds kind of crazy to me. So, but what is crazy? Well, that's a whole another trick here, isn't there? Because I guess you'd say if you don't have a couple of logical instruments in your head, where you recognize that other people are, they have a welfare and an interest and you can't just eat them for dinner, you'd be crazy. You'd be crazy if, you don't know. If you're a truther, you'd be crazy. Sorry, Darwin's hamster, but come on. Read up on it. There's explanations for everything. Building 7 free-falled because guess what? It's a big fucking heavy building. I mean, come on. You got, what, 5-6 stories of cement and steel falling. Once it falls about 4 feet, it's going to start reaching terminal velocity, and there ain't nothing going to stop it. Nothing. The next floor is going to be tissue paper. When you add up the physical forces, it's going to be literally tissue paper. It's going to be like your hand going through a wet paper towel. It's not going to have any problem at all free falling right the hell through the next floor. Once you drop that kind of weight, 10 fucking feet, oh, game over. Whatever is at that 10-foot level is going to be particularized. I mean, can't people even get it? I mean, look at the rubble. Come on, it was dust. Those buildings all turned into freaking dust. You know how much energy? I mean, come on. Ugh, anyway. So I don't want to get into that crap. But, yeah, these delusions are miscalculations, or misunderstandings of some sort of truth in the world can really fuck people up. I mean, once you get something wrong, you're fucked. People have delusions about the Kennedy assassination or some other delusion. Area 54 or 57 or whatever the fuck it is, 51. And then they just build more crap on top of that delusion. And they just keep attaching little pieces that'll barely stick to it. Well, if that's true, oh, that makes this make sense. Oh, that makes this make sense. Yeah, well, if this is true, then that makes sense. And they just start attaching more and more crap to that piece of crap. And they just end up with a big pile of crap in their head. And sooner or later, if you have enough crap in your head, it's valid to say you're fucking nuts. You're fucking insane. So I'm going to argue, that when you fairly look at the simple facts of our existence, the history, the mechanisms involved, the fact that we are completely psychologically predictable, and that we acquire that psychology through all these erroneous, irrelevant bullshit mechanisms. I'm speaking English for an erroneous, arbitrary, irrelevant, insignificant reason. Dog. How you doing? Hey, pup. Dog says I was very smart. Smart dog. See, dogs are smarter than people. Yeah, they really are. Because you know why? You know why dogs are smarter than people? Because dogs aren't full of shit. See, that's the problem. People get their brains full of shit, and now it doesn't matter if they know how to add 2 + 2, and they know how to drive a car, and I don't know, they know how to knit a sock. It doesn't matter if you know all that stuff. You're still dumber than a dog, because all the other crap in your brain is such bullshit that your brain is defunctional as a logical instrument. It can't function anymore because it can't add up the logic of life. The math of life is understanding the connection between your want and desire psychology, the suffering that the world involves, and being able to understand there's an equation here, and that this equation does not add up. It's the wrong size bicycle for consciousness to be riding. It's just not going to work. But you can't do that life logic. If your brain is full of God delusions or Gaia delusions or hope delusions or lollipop delusions of love and loviness, arty lovey, love on top of art, like fucking on the floor in front of the David or something. I mean, whatever your perfect little lovey arty moment is, it's not going to undo screaming horror pain as some doctor sticks a probe in your fucking brain. Or a probe up your fucking ass, or wherever else they're going to stick a goddamn probe. This is all just such a pile of shit. And the only reason why you people can't see it for what it is because you have been poorly trained. You've been deluded throughout your life by lies and bullshit. And you just haven't been able to step past them, or step over them, or walk around them. You're still owned by them. You think when you're hungry for something, it means it is a good thing. That the thing you're hungry for actually has value. And no, it doesn't. So anyway, that was sort of fun. No, not really. A little hot. Yeah, it's kind of warm. Yeah, it's a nice day. Independently Day. I am independent today. I declare it. Yeah. And I also declare war on the world today. As part of my Independence Day, I do declare war on everyone on Earth, except for like 5 people. But all the rest of you, I'm declaring war against you. So expect me to bomb your Pearl Harbor or something. Anyway, till next time.